Hi, and welcome to another edition of Your Life, Your Voice. My name is Julie Skiveris, and I welcome Colette Altobus to the program. Welcome, Colette. How are you doing?
Good, thank you. Hi, everyone.
Today we have a pre-recorded interview. So how about we just start off with that, Colette?
Yes. So while we're waiting, we've got an interview and hopefully you'll all enjoy it as you see it soon. Recording now.
Good morning. My name is Julie Skiveris, and welcome to another edition of Your Life, Your Voice. I'd like to welcome Colette Altobus, my co-host. Hi, Colette. How are you doing?
Thanks for asking. All's good. How's everyone going today with things this morning?
Yeah, all good, and we hope that our YouTube listeners are having a great day. So today we have Amy Sue Lassett, project worker from Voice at the Table. Good morning, Amy. How are you doing?
Good morning, Julie. I'm really well this morning.
That's good. So before we start, I'm going to start with the acknowledgements to country. So bear with me. Here Do Your Life project acknowledges the traditional owners of the land to which we work and live and recognise their continuing connection to land, water and community. We pay respects to elders, past, present and emerging. We remember all some applicants who have worked hard over the years for the rights for themselves and others with disabilities and human rights for all. Nothing about us without us. Okay, so again, welcome, Amy, and thank you for agreeing to be interviewed.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, so as I described in the intro, you're from Voice at the Table. So good morning. My name is Julie Skiveris, and welcome to another edition of Your Life, Your Voice. I'd like to welcome Colette Altobus, my co-host. Hi, Colette. How are you doing?
Thanks for asking. All's good. How's everyone going today with things this morning?
Yeah, all good, and we hope that our YouTube listeners are having a great day. So today we have Amy Sue Lassett, project will work out from voice at the table. Good morning, Amy. How you doing?
Good morning, Julie. I'm really well this morning.
That's good. That's good. So before we start, I'm going to start with the acknowledgements to country. So bear with me. Dear Do Your Life project acknowledges the traditional owners of the land to which we work and live and recognise their continuing connection to land, water and community. We pay respects to elders, past, present and emerging. We remember all sub-advocates who have worked hard over the years for the rights for themselves and others with disabilities and human rights for all. Nothing about us without us. Okay, so again, welcome Amy, and thank you for agreeing to be interviewed.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, so as I described in the intro, you're from Voice at the Table. So would you like to tell us a little bit about the VATT background?
Thank you so much, Jules. So Voice at the Table originally started in 2016, and what it was a project from the Self-Advocacy Resource Unit here in Melbourne. So Voice at the Table is all about making sure that people with a cognitive disability, so that means an intellectual disability or an acquired brain injury, have a voice at the table. So particularly in
Julie, put your volume up.
And workers from Saru, particularly Sue Smith, who was the lead of the project, she brought the two groups together and they co-developed some training to all about how to speak up, how to have your voice heard, how to have the confidence to speak up, what to expect in meetings. And so they co-developed this fantastic training, and which is run for 6 days. And so that's where Voice at the Table first started. But since then, it's kind of kept growing and growing and growing. And I came on board at the beginning of 2018. And since then, we have, well, it's kind of felt like we've taken on the world, which has been really great. So now we have a couple of different types of training. So one of them is the self-advocacy training. So we now have over 70 graduates of that program. And we also run inclusion training, so training led by people with a cognitive disability, and that training goes around and it's called the Inclusive Meeting Practices Training. So they go around to organisations and teach organisations how to include everyone in meetings. An advocate, consumer advocate register. So everyone who does the training hops onto the register, and then when multiple different groups ring us and say we need lived experience, we need someone to help us, we say go through the register and see if we can pair you up with someone. But yes, Julie, you were a delight and you continue to be a delight.
Oh, thank you for that.
That's right.
So just something popped into my head. This sometimes happens, and then it goes away. It comes back in. But yes. So So with people, like all people, we all have different interests and different skills, and so so different people, will volunteer for different things.
Yeah.
My involvement in self advocacy has evolved. My skills in self advocacy has evolved because of Voice at the Table. And with learning is an ongoing thing. We can never know enough, and we meet different people in our lives. I certainly have met lots of people through Voice at the Table, and we view each other as esteemed colleagues.
Absolutely, that's for sure.
So there's lots of respect and acknowledgement of the different path that we've been through. No two paths is the same, identical, but there are things that come out of that, and like sometimes I read something from the ABI app, thinking, wow, I have the same experience, or I identify with this or that. Yeah, so it's been a really great privilege to be one of the first veterans of Voice at the Table.
I think what you said there is just sums up that really well, is that operates in a way where we really are really open about the fact that everybody brings with them their own skills and everybody has something to contribute, and that there is no kind of hierarchy in any way. And that's the beauty of that, I think, is that it's led by the community, and it's led by self-advocates at different stages of their journey. But it's we're lucky.
Yeah. I wanted to touch on the hierarchy thing, and that's absolutely true. There's no hierarchy in Sarah Voice at the Table. But having said that, there are responsibilities here. You can't really have an organisation publicly funded that doesn't have structure.
Correct.
Well, there's collectives. There are collectives where that is the case. Not all structures not all organisations have structures like that, like what you're saying, maybe?
Yeah, well, what I'm trying to get at is that there's no top-down.
Oh, okay.
The top-down is, there are responsibilities and there are, things we have to follow, but on the ground, we are sort of like, we have the same goals, the same ambition to see self advocacy grow and to educate government, community, consumer groups. So on that level, we all have the same vision and mission.
I think we're really lucky at Voice at the Table because we were birthed out of the self-advocacy movement, and we've always made sure that we're disability-led. So what that means at that, or what that looks like, is that our board is majority people with a disability. Our working groups are majority people with a disability. We also, everything is co-designed and co-developed to the best that we can be. And so, and of course, we've got mostly people with cognitive disability employed on staff. As we've grown, I'll be really honest, there's times we don't always get that right. I think we mostly probably get it right compared to others, but we can always do better. In the early stages of that, I feel like we were really lucky because we started off well, and that was including the self-advocacy groups from the very beginning. And I think also we have a few principles at that we always fall back to, that graduates came up with in the early stages of 2018. And one of those two principles that I think help us to be accountable, one of them is mutuality, this idea, which is a big word, but essentially what it means is shared equal respect. So I often use the term able bods, which people don't particularly like, some people don't. But what I mean by that, those without a disability, really making sure that they recognise that often society gives us more power, yeah? And so we need to be aware of that, and we need to relinquish or let go of that power. And there's different ways we do that, and how we do that is to say sorry when we sometimes try to be controlling, or sometimes when we're trying to be too kind and we start to do things out of a charity model. So yeah, one of the principles is relinquish power, and when we do, say sorry. And so mutual relationships, it's not about anyone helping anyone. We're all a little bit messed up and we all need each other.
Sorry for that. We've just got some sound in the background. There's some sort of rattling sound. I don't know if anyone can... Sorry, I don't want to cut you off, but yeah, that's better, I think.
It might be my microphone.
Yep.
The other thing is we talk about, one of the principles is recognise ableism. So recognise when you think that this idea that the world sometimes suggests that people without a disability have more value. We want to really make sure we're radical about always making sure that that's not the case, that we centre on the fact that we all have value, and that if we all have the right supports and we all have, we can all have an equal voice.
Yeah, I have lots of people I associate with, and a lot of people just see disability, the physical side of disability, the wheelchairs, the equipment needed. But I mean, COVID has one thing about COVID, it's uncovered a lot of things.
Yeah.
One thing that I've noticed is that we all need support. It doesn't matter who we are. And so I think the universal thing with COVID is that it's uncovered this.
Absolutely.
And where a lot of people thought, I'm okay, Jack, because I've got this high-powered role, and I'm maybe in government, maybe a public servant, so even though on our level COVID has been quite very challenging, rightly so for humanity, let's say humanity, because that's what it is. It's affected all levels of humanity. So
that's right.
It's uncovered the universal theme of support.
That's right. And I think at Voice at the Table last year, while we were in lockdown, the inclusion training team, so that's the team that goes out and works with public servants often, had the tricky yet also good opportunity to learn how to do the training remotely. And you know what? You're right, because here we were working with these people who have, bureaucrats who have very good jobs. Sorry, my phone keeps talking. And there they are sitting in their lounge room with pajama bottoms with their cat crawling over them, and all of a sudden there's an equaliser. It was really good.
Yeah, so there are positives to things that seem so negative.
That's right.
People that, feel a bit like, their lives, maybe not going in the way they feel, having an equaliser like this is very, very important for people, awareness building.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's move on.
Mm-hmm.
So what goals have BATT, what goals have they achieved, and how did you
Sorry, I missed that last question. Can you just say that again, Jules?
What goals have BATT achieved, and how did they navigate your way around to achieve these goals?
Great. I'm really proud to say that VAT's achieved a hell of a lot in its short life. I think the goal that might not be the showiest publicly, but the goal I think we've achieved incredibly well is that we've worked as a very strong team. and that as a community we retain people into the community or into the project for a long time. So nearly all of the graduates who have gone through the program still in some way have something to do with that. That makes me incredibly proud because it shows that people are getting something out of it. They're being seen and they're being heard, and they're given opportunities to practice speaking up. So that's definitely a goal I think that we've smashed. I sound pretty arrogant, but we have. But on the outside, the things that we've had successful projects. So the first pilot project in 2016, which was originally funded by the National Disability Insurance Agency, right in the beginnings, that first training did incredibly successful. Everyone who did the training reported to have increased confidence and went on to be on a board and a committee. And then since I've come on, we've had a few different projects. So we were part of a project with the state government called the Boards Initiative, the Victorian Public Service Boards Initiative. And during that time, which was about 2 years, we trained hundreds of public servants in how to run meetings in a way to include people with a cognitive disability. We also had 3 cohorts go through, meaning 3 groups of graduates go through with that. And they were done in different ways. We've done 2 pilot projects in country areas, which has been incredible. I think that's definitely a tick off. But there's been lots of big, amazing things. Like we worked with the Transport Accident Commission and we helped them to set up a client voice department. We've also worked with we've worked with so many big important mobs. Like we worked with another client voice framework with the Department of Health and Human Services, creating a framework and a way to include voices across the state in all community services organisations. There's so many.
Could you give us an example of 3 things that to be more inclusive with people with cognitive, can you give us some areas that we can think of and understand how we could be better?
Thank you. I thank you for the reframing of that. It helps me to focus. That's one of the things that you just did, yeah? So one of the things is providing opportunity for people to answer in concrete ways. The voice at the table, we have the things called the 10 top tips. And the 10 top tips include things like providing accessible information. Yeah. So lots of people in our group might have literacy challenges. So we always advocate for easy English and for plain English. We also have lots of reminders. So it might be someone has problems with memory. So we always advocate lots of text messages, reminders, things like that. We talk about making sure that we keep agendas short and sharp so that we can go from one idea to the next and always coming back. But mostly it's about access needs, recognising that for some people with a cognitive disability, emotional regulation is challenging. So it's really important to create a safe space where the mind doesn't get flooded so that information can be taken in. So, yeah.
Thank you. That's great to be able to understand how we could all get better and communicate better with each other.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yes, there are lots of things in that, Amy. Particularly the easy English and plain English, which I think that a lot of people are adapting them in the organisations to be more inclusive, and even like recordings and things like that. So the recording is another way to get messages across.
Absolutely. And also recognising that not everyone has access to the internet. And I mean, COVID's changed that a little bit. But post-outs are really important, ringing people, having conversations over the phone, particularly for people with an intellectual disability. That's really important.
I know that you have lots of people, some people, lots of people from regional Victoria on on the leader of the in a part of the BACC. And from my experiences, because I've been I work in different areas. Regional still needs a lot of work in many areas. So yes, so if I can put that to you and have your organisation have a chat about that regional Victoria.
Yeah. So we've been fortunate enough for the state government to give us training in the past through the Advocacy Futures funding rounds, and we have worked with Seymour and Alexander and some groups out there. We've also trained councils and community groups out there. I think regional Australia in many ways has so many beautiful things about it that us city folk get to miss out on. But they also have a challenge when it comes to location. Yeah, lots of times just because of the fact that people live far apart from each other, it's really hard for people with a disability to have a say. I'm really happy to say that particularly in the Murrumbidgee and Mitchell Shires, forgive the stuff up there, but the advocates that went through the program, they're all now getting just ready to be on steering committees, on hospitals, on shires, on social justice committees. It's quite powerful, One of the components that we have at the last day of the consumer training session is we all get to speak to a politician live and have a go at speaking up and having a bit of a pitch. And it's really powerful to be able to speak directly into power. And this last group that went through, they got to speak to Deputy Leader of the Liberal Party in Victoria and talk about the issues that were important to them in a regional area. And they were things like, there's only 2 buses a week. If I can't drive, how do I get from A to B and live as someone with agency and independent person? Other things that came up were things like there's just not enough money and funding available for choice, for trial choice. Sometimes communities might only have one disability program. It doesn't matter if you like it or you don't like it or it doesn't suit your interests. It's the only one you've got.
Transport seems to be a big issue for the person I know, the Ballarat Peninsula.
Yeah.
A particular person, she lives outside of Geelong, so it's like more rural, like maybe Geelong to city, because of the rural place where she lives. Transport is a big issue, and getting support workers, getting enough support to her is really challenging.
Yeah.
But I think a lot more work needs to be done in that space. And I think that regional Victoria needs to be given positive discrimination. And do we all know what that means?
Do you mean like an advantage or extra funding or, say, quotas?
Yes, because in disability, we talk about things being equal, yeah? So in a physical perspective, like a person on a wheelchair, a wheelchair is there to make things accessible. Or, my manager uses his foot to operate his mouse. That makes it equal. So I am in favour of this because it's a level playing field. It makes things a bit more level. So what I mean by positive discrimination is that there should be another thought with regional Victoria in that they're given maybe more money in their taxi type of things, make it more equal so that they have access and not be disadvantaged. So these little practical things to help them along in their everyday life and put them on par with metropolitan, people with disabilities living in metropolitan cities.
Absolutely.
That have trains and have all these trains available and, public transport and, so just have a rethink about regional Victoria. That's what I tend to, what I've heard over the years. That seems to be a theme that always comes up. We live in the 21st century, yeah?
Yeah.
We should have better responses to regional Victoria.
And I think what you said there, the thing that really spoke to me when you were speaking then is the idea of being practical. It's about practical solutions. And that's essentially what that is about too. And I think half the time the reason why the practical solutions aren't brought forward is because the people who are making decisions at the top or creating policy don't have the lived experience. They don't know what it's like to not be able to just hop in the car and drive. And it's not intentional. They're not, it's just that they don't know. It's amazing how often when we're working with an organisation, their eyes kind of get big and you see the light switch go off in somewhere and they go, oh yeah, I didn't think of that. Like someone will ring me and say, I can't get so-and-so to come to the committee meeting. And I'll say, well, how did you try to tell them? And they'll say, I sent them a whole lot of emails. And I said, well, they don't know how to use Gmail. Maybe just pick up the phone or record a message of yourself saying g'day and send that as a text message so they know how to respond. They're practical solutions, but if you're not a part of a community or had the experience for yourself, you don't know.
Yes, so, with a lot of things in life, I think that looking at the practical steps to achieve a bigger goal, like you said, with this particular one I'm thinking of, has to have support to get out of bed. Now, how can she catch a bus if she can't get out of bed? So VOTC, I think, has a role there in raising awareness, and you do raise awareness about the practical steps needed to reach a bigger goal. So,
I guess I'm thinking about how do you make people who do have power in situations to actually understand and empower people. Like what do we need our politicians and decision makers need to know like besides saying what your needs are, what ways stick with them? What's your experience of that? How do you know that your message has got across?
Beautiful. So there's a few things. Eva Siffis, who is one of the Voice at the Table educators, and she has an acquired brain injury, she often says to us in our feedback when we do a team round meeting after we've done training, and she'll say it publicly too, so she won't mind me saying it, is all of this is really about humanity 101. Yeah? We're all equal. We all have value. We all have something to contribute. And so you can see it happening when people start to relate to others with a disability just as they would anybody else. And I'm sure we've all experienced this, is that often able-bodies are afraid they're going to say the wrong thing, or they're just a little bit scared. And so they come across as condescending as anything, or, hi, how's it going? Or they're really afraid, And so often in the training, that's what initially happens. And then by the end of it, there's an equaliser. And the way we equalise is just being ourselves, taking off the suit, being authentic, and being inviting. I think one of the things that's really challenging when you're trying to make social change or you make the world a better place is the burden of responsibility to bring about the change is often on those who are stuck in a system which doesn't benefit them. So, and it gets tiring and it gets exhausting constantly trying to tell those in power hello, I'm here. And I think it's easy to, in that fight, become quite defensive and have a list of demands, like this is who we are and this is what we need. But unfortunately, sometimes when we come across that way, it incites shame in people and then they turn off and they walk away. And I think how we get the power players to recognise us is to be real and to say who you are and to be involved in that decision making and make it and show people that we all have something to contribute. I think I'm not getting to my point well, but I think authenticity and grace and being around and being visible is really important.
I'll just pick up on something that you said that triggered something in my head, in that the taking off of the suit and being yourself, and I ask people like what's the right phrase to say. So I asked a colleague of mine saying, is it right to say we're walking to the station when you're in a wheelchair? Is that appropriate? And that's fine, So just having the people in suits, who are not sure about the right phrases, you could ask someone rather than, and that's fine, because we're not if you're not around certain groups, you don't know what to say.
That's right.
And from the other side, the grace and not humiliating someone and not being so militant at times. Yeah, sometimes we have to be militant.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's a better way. My mum used to say, "There's more than one way to get the rat out of the hole." My mum was a great philosopher. A lot of her philosophies are from the Maltese language, but they can translate over. So I used to be like a bit more, militant. I still am in some ways, but my manager has commented on my growth over the years, and I've become very diplomatic. And diplomacy it's good, because and sometimes I have to think in my head, how am I going to say this? I need to say something. How am I going to say it so it's not insulting? Or it's not like full on in someone's face or humiliating someone. No one wants to be humiliated, whether you're a person of power or a person of no power. If you see yourself as a person of no power, we all have power, yeah?
Yeah.
The way we come across is very important. And, like my mum said, there's more than one way to skin a cat, I suppose. Also, it's another phrase.
Absolutely.
But those who are watching, I think it's an important point to take away. If there's one point to take away, this is a good point. Not to humiliate someone. And to come, to be on the and to understand.
We all need to learn, and we all make mistakes, and we all want the best for each other, I guess. Like most people, like you said, do not appreciate being told what to do, or be humiliated. That's not helping anyone, is it?
It isn't. And I think this is the thing that we constantly remember at Voice at the Table, is there are a lot of organisations and a lot of government departments, there's all sorts of mobs out there trying to include the voice of people with a disability in what they're doing because they know that they need to. Thankfully, it's become now kind of a societal expectation that would happen. But just because they want to doesn't necessarily mean they know how to do it. And it also doesn't mean that they're going to do it well from the very beginning. So it's really important that we have that space where we can all make mistakes and feel safe to make mistakes together, because that's how real change happens over time. But But in order to do that, I think it's really tricky because we live in a world which has structures that say that says some should have power and some shouldn't. So we've got to figure out a way of not doing power over, but power with each other. But I think that we're going to be working on that one till the end of times, really.
Yeah. And having said that, I think things are getting better in that space.
Yeah.
That's really quite a testimony to Voice at the Table and Saru, and to raise that awareness with the experience. So yeah, tap on the back.
Could I ask?
And to this.
Yeah. Sorry, Amy.
Sorry, you go.
I was just going to say, how would someone get involved with Saru or that? Like, how could someone watching is interested and would like to be a part, or someone might know of someone who might want to get some skills up, and then someone also might be watching who is in a powerful position to make change. How would they get in touch with you, or how would they address this gap?
Fantastic question. So if they wanted to get in contact with Voice at the Table, they could come to voiceatthetable.com.au and they could follow the links there, and and someone will contact them. We're also based at Ross House on Flinders Street on level 1. So they can always contact us this way. We're just today, in fact, getting our brand new office's phone connected, and our telephone number is 03970 9070. Let's start that again. Sorry, 03970 9070. But also we have a podcast called VAT Chat, which you can get on all Spotify and all those sorts of things, and you can type in VAT Chat and you can find out. The other thing is, if you have a cognitive disability, if you have an acquired brain injury or intellectual disability, I'm at the moment looking for people who want to do the training. I've got a new group going to be doing it in about 4 months' time for people with an intellectual disability. Come and join us. Yeah, we'd love to meet you. Come and do the training, and then you're a part of us, and so you can be a part of all of these opportunities. And if you're an organisation, please contact us. We deliver training online as well as in person. Contact us and I can get the training team to ring you up and have a consultation to talk about what that could look like.
Wow.
This is one of the questions, and I know that the ATT primarily is for cognitive and intellectual.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, is there like a thought about expanding that to other forms of disability?
Yeah. Voice at the Table would always say that we are got solidarity with all in the disability community. The reason why it is based on people with cognitive disabilities is because we were birthed out of Saru, and the self-advocacy resource movement specifically supports those with cognitive disability. I'm not going to say never, Jules, because, we all want to take over the world. I'm joking when I say that. But at this stage, we've got funding from the federal government on a project called Building Stronger Voices, which is until the middle of next year, and that's focused on people with a cognitive disability. But you never know. There's different communities out there that have inquired with us in the past. Deafblind Victoria is a group that we're deeply, we have a lot of respect for, and they share offices near us. So we've always kind of dreamed of doing something there, but you never know. And it also really depends on what the working groups and the steering committee wants. What do the current backgrads want? Do they feel like it's most important to stick to what they know or breach out? I think one thing we've learned is when you try to do too many things, things can get tricky. So we might at this stage stick to what we know, but we want to support all sorts of marginalised groups and people who are fighting for the same things as us, to have their voices heard and to be included. And there's simple ways we go about that. So it might be that VACRADs or staff go to protest rallies to support other minority groups. But yeah, it's a good point to bring up.
How do you get access if you're from a culturally and linguistically diverse background?
To that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Absolutely. I think one thing we have to our advantage, but you might correct me on this, I could be wrong, is that a lot of our information is in plain and easy English, which might take some of the barriers out, I think. Also, the fact there's some similarities. So a lot of what we do is about meeting in person and talking in person. A lot of it is about all of our staff who, with or without disability, try to deep listen. So before talking, kind of try to really understand the needs of the people that we're working with. There's some of the things, but I think in general, and I think it's sad, when it comes to self-advocacy, we're kind of like a little silo. Maybe we all need to get better at opening up to each other. But I definitely would say our connector would be Julie, who's been amazing, connecting us to the CUL community. For example, this opportunity and other opportunities she's given us.
Mm.
Yeah, something else popped into my head while talking. Let me see if I can block it out. I've lost it, so it's fine.
That's all right.
It may come back to me. So, I'll just skip a few questions. Let me know whether these questions are okay. What about 10 minutes? So, well, if you could do one thing in your life you've never done before via the FAT platform, what will that be?
Oh, me personally, or?
I think whatever you think, whether it's organisational or for you personally.
Yeah. One thing that Voice at the Table is getting to do this year as a part of the Building Stronger Voices initiative is we're kind of putting together a toolkit on how people with a cognitive disability, how they become good educators. I feel incredibly thankful that in my 3 years at VAT, we've built a team of trainers with cognitive disability who are strong at what they do. That's kind of been a dream that we can now create a toolkit that says, if we do some of these things, if we're open to some of these ways of working, then it really means that people with a cognitive disability can step up into real jobs for real wages and educate the greater community. So I'm kind of lucky. I'm getting to do that, Jules. That was kind of my dream. My background's community development and adult education. And also, you know, I also have dyslexia and I'm a big feeler. And I feel like both of those things have helped me at VAT to find solidarity with others who have those same challenges. And we've created some really great ideas about creating ways of working which take into the account that someone might have a big feelings, that take into account that someone might receive information in different ways, activities that are kinetic and activities that get the best out of all of us. I think so many people don't get to have good jobs because they're expected to work 9 to 5. They're expected to do things the way that able-bods have always done them. And it's not because they're not clever. It's not because they're not brilliant. They don't have gifts. But they don't have flexible work arrangements. And so I'd like to continue to build VAT to be a place which provides a work environment for everybody. So it really shows that we're not disabled by our illness or our impairment or our disability, but we're actually disabled by the systems that we find ourselves in. So if we're able to be more flexible and we're able to recognise we all have value, we might just be a little bit different. I think it would be great to see the way we work happen in other workplaces as well.
Yeah, so what you've described is the social model of disability, not the medical, and the reason why I'm able to do so much work in the sector is because I have really flexible working arrangements.
Yep.
Even though some of the things are structured, others aren't. So I can schedule medical appointments, at times where practitioners are available, or I can sort of stretch my body when I stretch my body, or walk around, or do other things. I could be in the office, or I could be at home. So that's helped a lot with different aches and pains and things I need to do in life to make me functional and make me part of the working population.
And that's the thing. If we can be more flexible and take into account of these things, we get more diverse voices at the table, which is the best bit.
So the thing I was thinking, the thing that escaped my mind before was videos. We can create videos, and I don't know whether VATT have done this, but you can create videos in different community languages.
Well, I reckon we should give it a go. I think that's a really good idea. I mean, we always make sure that there is captions. We're moving into now to have sign as well. There's no reason why we couldn't do different languages. That's a really good suggestion.
Yes, I'm working for another organisation at the moment. I can't really say what it is at the moment, but it's basically delivering information.
Yep.
For people to live their lives in their own language.
Fantastic.
So hopefully I can talk about it soon. Still on probation.
you like tickling our fantasy, our curiosity.
Yes. So I hope to speak more about that in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And to watch this space, everyone. And it's going to be podcasting. So so really excited. So yeah, it'll be good. And I think that VATT can actually branch out in this space. So so. Okay, moving on. Gulay, do you have any comments at all?
Well, there's a lot of things that we've talked about, and if we sort of summarise it, that would be interesting to have to say, so that people who are listening and watching can to pass on to other people. What is the main message that we want to give to people today about VATT, and Saru? That's what I'm thinking about. Like, if we were to take home something, a message, what would that be?
I think I would hope the message to take home is that everyone has something to say, everyone has something to contribute, and that Voice at the Table is all about providing practical solutions to make sure that everyone has an equal voice at the table. So for maybe people who are working in the disability sector space, to think about different ways they can include people, and not in a tokenistic way of I'll send them a survey or I might just tick a box to say I've done something. Hire people with a disability. Have your working groups, have someone on the board that brings a new flavour. And if you don't know how to go about that, give us a call at Voice at the Table. We might be able to help you out. I think the main message around Voice at the Table and Saru is nothing about us without us. Yeah? Stop making decisions on our behalf thinking you know better. Sorry to say it cheekishly like that. But the reality is we all don't know each other's experiences until we're ready to really listen. So, nothing about us without us.
Yeah. Yes, so that's a really important message for everyone to take home.
Could I ask one more question? I'm thinking, what is mainstream people thinking about, diversifying? What do we know that? Like, have we asked them and said, are you interested in what we have to say? Like, especially with people with a cold background, I
think we're really lucky that we're living in a period of time where our understanding of policy creation has moved into a place where we realise we need to include people. I think we're really lucky. So if we look at the work that public servants are doing, so the people who are working in government, they know now that they can't make decisions on other people's behalf because it often doesn't work. And because we've had incredible disability advocates in the past, or different minority groups rise up and say, hang on a minute, listen to us, that we actually get a go now. I mean, I know in the Victorian public sector, they have to demonstrate they've tried to include the voices of people with a disability. For example, these days when they're recruiting for boards, which is great because I got lots of phone calls of people saying, you know, we'd like to include you. I think diversity is moving in I don't know, what do you think, Jules?
I think
Sorry to put you on the spot.
Yeah, I think that diversity is moving to a place in society where there is more inclusion, and sometimes it doesn't. We don't always get it right, but it's stepping stones that we need to build on. And so yeah. Any comments, Amy?
I think one of the things I just thought of, and it could be, hold it lightly because it's just a thought, particularly when it comes to culturally and linguistically diverse, I think, I mean, I don't know, I'm from the western suburbs of Melbourne. I studied at Victoria University. My experiences may be tainted by that. But I think particularly in Australia, as we have generations of people, multiple generations of people whose English is their second language, and as people get more powerful positions, that people are getting to see that maybe the way the world was run in the past is not okay. Yeah. But again, I could be just being overly idealistic.
Well, coming from a cold background, I tend to feel like I have two brains, like the cultural brain and the dominant cultural brain.
Yep.
And I'm constantly juggling things in my head, whether it's to do with words or attitudes or how to approach people that are not, not culturally linguistic. So it's a constant juggle in my head.
Yep.
And so I don't know whether it's everyone or whether it's my Gemini personality, having two sides to speak. Yeah, my other side's not good. I've got a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde at times. Yeah, hopefully the good one precedes over the horrible one. I don't, but I think it's the way I perceive myself at times. I can be a bit strong in certain areas.
Can't we all?
That's fine. Yeah.
I just thought of something. Sorry, Julie. I just thought maybe I didn't say this well. I think it's really important to recognise when we do have power and to share that power. And I think it's really important to be a proper ally and not just someone that posts things on social media to look like they think something, but to actually practically, share our opportunities with each other.
I think it's the doing, and rather than social media is good for some things and to raise awareness, but if we don't follow through on our beliefs, then it's pretty much hot air, honestly. So anyway, so I think that we are pretty close to the end of our interview. Is that right, Colette?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for being a part of the program and telling us all about VATT. Yeah.
Thank you, Amy. Well, we're about to do the acknowledgement of the funding body, and if you'd like, you can hang around. Otherwise, Amy does it. Amy still does it. Voice at the table. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much. Have a lovely day, ladies.
Bye.
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 Bye. Okay, let's do the I'm going to do okay. So would you like to read it out, Colette?
Sure.
All right? Yeah.
Yes. Okay. We would like to thank the MRC Northwest Management for their support they give to the Diversity and Disability Your Life, Your Voice project. This YouTube channel is funded by the Victorian DHHS and Moreland City Council. D&D would like to thank them for providing funding to do this progressive thinking out-of-the-box project, especially in these times living through the pandemic of COVID-19. It has been difficult for people with disabilities being in isolation. This channel is for them too, and in the next sessions we will be providing information and support on COVID-19 and lockdown. We would like to thank our guest speaker, Amy, today. This project would like your ideas on the NDIS topics and guest speakers you would like your voice to explore. Please feel free to email us on dndyourlifeyourvoice@gmail.com.
And that's the end of our session. And we'll see you in 2 weeks' time. Thanks, Claire. Bye.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Hey, Claire, we're back. We're back live. So,
Hi.
Hi. Well, we have introduced another section to our interviews, to our segments. So we have segments that are going to be outlining some information. So I'll just share that with our viewers. Sorry about this. Good. Good morning. In this segment, we are going to be talking about disability and the MRC Micro Resource Centre Northwest Region and the programs they offer in relation to disability.
Diversity in Disability Program is a disability self-advocacy program delivered at the MRC Northwest Region St Albans office. We provide support to people with a disability from a culturally and linguistically diverse background to speak for themselves and achieve their full potential as valued citizens of the community. D&D aspires to enhance the freedom, independence, knowledge and opportunities for people with disability from a CULT background. D&D provides workshops on specific topics of interest or one-on-one support. We do this through self-advocacy, skills development in a creative and fun environment, connections with CULT communities to create attitudinal change, enhanced participation and representation by people from a CULT background in the community, engagement with policymakers and decision makers within the multicultural sector and the disability sector, consumer representation at local, regional and national disability forums. D&D is run by people with a disability for people with a disability to provide advocacy support and information to people interested in disability and ethnicity.
Some of the programs that are running at the moment include the D&D Women's and Men's Support Group. The Women's Support Group is running in North Coburg, and this year in 2021 we have a wellbeing group which will be run in Stallman's through Urella. And anyone interested in attending, please contact the D&D MRC office. I'll give you the telephone number at the end of this session. We also have a creative writing group a conflict resolution group, a D&D theatre and acting group, 2 D&D music therapy groups, and a D&D art group. Each group is aimed at generating creative and empowering opportunities for people who are not participating in community activities outside their Disability Day services.
Disability advocacy. The MRC NWR Disability and Advocacy Program provides assistance and support to people with a disability, their carers, and families who are from culturally and linguistically diverse communities and have difficulty accessing information and services or have been discriminated against. Our staff assist people with a disability to assert their rights as valued members of community and to participate in making decisions about their lives. For more information about the D&D or Disability Advocacy Program, please call our office, and the number is 1300 67 6044. That's 1300 67 6044. And thank you for listening and watching.
Well, this concludes the end of our session, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time. We hope you all have a good week. Bye.
Yeah, bye.